There's 5 regional championships. He'd love to have this one under his belt as well. Playing a very unique deck. This Flareon Sylveon combo has been wild, absolutely wreaking havoc on so much of the meta, and this might be one matchup that he's looking forward to.
I mean, yeah, I think so. If I'm going to back anybody, I feel like Ian Robb is a pretty safe bet. But of course, Evan is sitting on the other side of our table here. You know, a world champion in the senior division, now competing here in Masters, faced up against Ian Robb. I'm sure he's looking to make a name for himself here, as well as just already having such an established record in the Pokemon TCG. It's about to get started here. Let's take a look at our prize cards as we see Flareon's facing off against Zoroark EX.
Yeah, unfortunately, see the Serendipity there. Occasionally, that will be your way to draw out of some of those spots in the mid game where your opponent just takes that big knockout. You need to find an answer. There's a Noctowl there with the Jewel Seeker. That's going to be a key piece, but there is a decent line here to work with. The 4/4. So I think he's okay with just one piece.
Yeah, that's as good as it gets, right?
Yeah, that works out fairly well. There's another 4/4 on the other side for Evan. He's got one of those ends, Zorua down, but this is a world champion that we're dealing with. Yes, it was in the seniors division, but he has definitely seen the spotlight here. He's played on these streams, and that is not something that you typically see out of a player of his age. He's ready for this moment.
Yeah, well, we have the handshake here. Both of our players ready to kick things off in this asymmetrical match that we see. They're competing to be in our top 8 here in Milwaukee. All of the pressure is on these players as we start off this match. Ian Robb having the Hoot Hoot start, and here we go. Fan Rotom calling out all of these colorless Pokemon. Just have to be 100 HP or less. Nice and steady here for Ian Robb. It's exactly what we want to see. You get your Hoot Hoots, you get your Noctowls, but this time around, we can also get some colorful friends, potentially.
Yeah, there's a lot of colorless Pokemon in this deck. This is not just Terrapago's style, find a couple Hoot Hoots and get the ball rolling. No, you can find that Eevee.
Yes.
Feel really comfortable with your spot. We'll see if the rest of the hand is conducive to a good setup. Starting the Hoot, not always your favorite, but he's got that Fan Rotom. You can't ask for much more.
I know, yeah. I mean, that Fan Rotom is what gets you started here in the Pokemon TCG. So it adds so much consistency here. That Eevee that we saw showcased in Atlanta, the Colorful Friends, it's not the boosted evolution one. It's one that has a move. It's just a single attachment. And then you search your deck for 3 Pokemon of different types. So guess what that filters into? All the different types of Eeveelutions that you can play in this deck.
Yeah, it's good to have friends. He's got plenty of them in this deck. It would work out so well. And he's starting to build on this board now. We see now the Eevee also added. And you've got a full setup here. And it took, what, a Fan Rotom and a Nest Ball. Sign me up.
Yeah, I mean, that is incredible. Not that many cards played, but look at the board here for Ian Robb. And he's just rolling through this. I mean, you can tell he's played a lot of games. Ian Robb brings a lot of aura into these matchups for sure. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on this match competing into our top 8. So both these players are going to have to bring out the stops. As you said, Kyle, 4/4 lines, Zorua and Zoroark here for Evan. Pretty consistent there. We've seen Zoroark on our stream already. It is super fun to watch as we see some of these Ends Pokemon cards pop out of the deck already here in the Ends Castle, allowing for some free retreat in Ends Pokemon. Of course, Clef is in active position. It's kind of where you want it to be for some grasping draw action for Evan.
Yeah, I mean, he's got that free retreat if he's able to find an even better option. But honestly, this might be the best one at this point. Sometimes we see players lean into the Bombardier so they can find some help, but he's got all the help he needs. Buddy Poffin off of the draw here with the Iono. Now he can start to consider what his hand will look like, or you can switch over to the Badoo strategy. You have a lot of really low hit point Pokemon, but this isn't exactly a deck on Ian's side that can punish that.
Well, let's talk about these 2 decks and facing off against each other. I mean, these were 2 decks we were looking at as being the cool inclusions to our meta. Zoroark Toolbox versus Eevee Flareon Toolbox. I mean, how do you think this looks on paper? Is this a matchup that Evan is going to kind of be not happy to see, Kyle?
I mean, right now, this setup looks very good for him. He's got an opportunity to slow down his opponent on a really major turn, and potentially Ian doesn't find the right pieces to launch the attacks that he's needed. But all in all, the Flareon up against an Zoroark, that does not line up very great. That's a 280 straight into a perfect knockout. You'd think that Ian would have a slight advantage.
Yeah, that Carnelian on the Flareon EX is so tough to deal with, and this is one of those consistency cards in this Eevee. The Colorful Friends attack that it has allows Ian to get out these Pokemon without having to use item cards, of course being locked under that Badoo right now, and that itchy pollen kind of causing some trouble there. But yeah, Ian Robb grabbing the Colorful Friends here. We see the Latias EX as well as the colorless Noctowl being grabbed, and then the Flareon EX now is in play as well for Ian.
Ooh, what a piece here for Evan. Not only do you build up the board of all the basics, but then Serrano comes in and finds the Ends Zoroarks to go along with it. He's got 3 now with the additional copy that's in his hands, so trades are on the line.
Yeah, pick an EX, any EX. The Fedora wearing Serrano comes out to help here for Evan.
Talking about aura.
Yeah, for real.
That guy, whoa.
The aura spreading over now to these trades here on the Ends Zoroark EX. I mean, this is fantastic here. You're seeing the discards in that Bombardier EX. Straight to the discard pile, draw 2 cards. Fantastic here for Evan. We see another Zoroark in the hand Defiance Band being discarded for an additional 2. Is there anything we can see from Evan that'll kind of help set things up even more? I mean, another Zoroark EX, that's kind of like bread and butter here for Evan.
Yeah, he's taking a slower approach this turn. There's the risk where you can throw away Dark Energy, try to line up the Ends PP up into another Dark Energy and feel comfortable, but he just didn't have the tools there just yet. Discard pile is going to be vacant of any of those basic energies and just have to work in that one more Badoo turn, and that's exactly where Ian wants to be. He found all of his colorful friends. He can take 10 damage and feel okay.
They are here and they are ready right now. Flareon EX coming out to play here. We've seen it on stream. It's back again, piloted by Ian Robb. It's only 2 feet tall and 11 inches and 55 pounds. It's tiny, Kyle, but I'll tell you what, it swings pretty hard.
211, can't we just give it 3 feet? Like, we're right there. This is like me being 5'11". This is fair. Give it some credit. Flareon is putting in some work. I'm sure the embers coming off of it is going to give it a little more height, and this is quite the move here. We see the energies starting to load up, and Burning Charge is a classic play here we see from Ian. You get to take a knockout on a very susceptible Pokemon in that Ends Darmaka and build up your Flareon on the bench. It's exactly where he wants to be.
It's gorgeous here, 130 damage, but then 2 basic energy cards come out. They do have to go into 1 Pokemon, but the fact that it's any 2 basic energy allows for those multiple different typings to go down and load up your attackers here, and that's exactly what Ian Robb is doing. Just clean cut, Flareon EX, Flareon EX. He's got all the pressure on the board now faced up against Evan, as Evan pilots through this turn here, starting off with a Nest Ball. Going to try to get another Darumaka established here, but Ian Robb, if he's got some gusting effects, he can start to really wreak havoc there on Evan's side of the field.
Yeah, this is the problem when you go with this setup. You already had the Cleffa in play, you went with the triple Zoroark, and then when you go Badoo, you only have 1 additional bench space to work with, and it just leaves that Pokemon susceptible. You have a lot of great Zoroark, but they can't copy anything good right now. There's no attacks. The best attack you have right now is copying your Darumaka for Flare. I'm not into that.
Right, yeah, Night Joker. It sounds like such a cool attack, but really, it's just copying other attacks. That's the whole name of the game for this Ends Toolbox deck. So it's going to be really important here for Evan to have some of these attackers stick on board to stay in this game here. As we're seeing us churn through this turn, Iono now being played. Both our players are going to shuffle their hands. Ian's going to get 5 cards. Evan 6 for the prize cards being represented.
I mean, this is the risk you take. Evan, he's got that 1 bench spot with the Ends Darumaka. He throws the reversal energy on it. These are all precious resources. He's banking on that Iono, leading to Ian having a pretty poor hand, hoping that the item lock from the Badoo will stick. It's not going to happen this time around. Noctowl found in the hand. Even more resources for Ian to target down Darumaka. on the following turn, and Evan's just going to lose out on so much.
Yeah, that knocked out. All you need is a Tera Pokemon. Guess what? Flareon EX, that's a stellar Tera Pokemon. It's even better. Look at that crown.
It's a big guy, almost 3 feet.
Yeah,
The crown has to help him for him.
Yeah, that's true. Now we're 3 feet, baby. Well, check this out on Evan's side. Secret box being played. This is the ace spec. You can only play one in your deck here. Evan's going to discard 3 cards from the hand, but you get an item, you get a tool, you get a supporter, you get a stadium, you get everything you need here to line up your future turns for Evan. This time around, it's going to be that counter catcher and the Iono drawn out here for Evan.
Yep, counter catcher just says, hey, I need you to find an energy along with this combo, and I really hope you don't have it. 10 damage to the knocked out. Could be a little relevant if there's a play later on with the N-Star Manatan. 90-90, you're setting up some pretty great plays, but the most important part of this is just forcing Ian to have one additional resource to attack with that Flareon.
Yeah, that's a strat we've seen here from our players. Power Glass going onto a bench and Zoroark into that Itchy Pollen. As you said, Kyle, just putting a little bit of obstacle in Ian Rob's way, trying to slow him down here, but look at that. The Professor Turo being grabbed out of the deck now from Ian as a trainer card here from that Jewel Seeker on the knocked out.
Yeah, this is one way that you can move the knockdown. May not have had a way to find the energies. That's one of the tricky spots that you have in this deck. Is you're trying to use Crispin typically in those spots, and you don't always want to waste that kind of resource here. So instead, you just heal up your knockdown. That 10 damage, we talked about how pivotal that can be. It's going to help out in this spot to save this Pokemon and have another Jewel Seeker ready for the
That's what I'm saying. You scoop it up, the damage is gone. You have another Jewel Seeker in the future. Now you're in an active position with the Flareon EX. We also have Area 0 under depths underway here now for Ian Rob as the stadium brought out off the Jewel Seeker as well. Ian Rob has just reestablished himself after that slight disruption from Evan. He's saying, no big deal. We're back in the game. We're taking knockouts here on Ian Rob's side of the field. And Evan is just left once again with a Cleffa in the active. Does have the Darumaka still on the bench that is able to evolve this time around for Evan, but he's going to need to get there first. Get into some cards here, starting off with some trading.
Yeah, Dark Energy into the discard pile. He's been waiting for a spot where that can happen, but he was not waiting for a 5 supporter hand. That's what he's looking at here, and that slows down your progress a lot. There's still some play. I think we still have one of those counter catchers remaining, so if you have to use your supporter for the turn, that's not a boss's orders. Maybe you still could find a way to target down both Hoot Hoot and slow down your draws for your opponent, but you're still staring at 2 Flareon.
Yeah, that is tough. It almost is like the pressure is just stacking up here for Evan. We do see that Ends Darmanitan now come out here. It does have that energy already attached here as well. You do have to discard it to do this attack with the Flame Body Cannon, but look at that. 90 and 90 there for Evan. That's going to be 2 prize cards taken down for Evan on that turn.
Yeah, when in doubt, traded out, found the boss's orders, and takes both Hoot Hoot down. Ian, now he's going to be pretty in trouble as far as his resources go, but what he has in abundance is great attackers. Now the only problem, he's staring down a Pokemon he does not want to knock out in this N-Star Manatan. Sure, you could remove one of the better attacks in this deck, but you still have to work around Reshiram, and you're really focused on the 2 prize knockouts from this point on, being that he's at 4 prize cards.
Right, yeah. I mean, both of our players really sitting at 4 prize cards each. It's even here. We've just been flying through this match. Of course, in our top cut, or I guess it's asymmetrical top cut, we do have extended timers here for our players, but honestly, both of them are just moving.
Yeah, this is one thing we love to see. From the younger players, they typically have some speed, and then Ian's been the fastest player for the last decade, honestly.
Right,
Him and Daniel Altavilla have had the fastest hands I've ever seen.
Yup, he is playing with ease here as we see that lightning energy now attached to that Flareon EX. Going into an Iono, this is fresh hands. As we said, both our players sitting at 4 prize cards. It's 4 new cards in both their hands. Look at this. What we get here. Tera Orb. We have a Sylveon here from Ian Rob. Looks like he's going to opt to play this Tera Orb. Get a Tera Pokemon out.
Yeah, I mean, just another Pokemon that you could potentially attack with later on. If you have a damaged Flareon, you don't feel comfortable, you could move into a Terapagos. Just take simple knockout, something like that Cleffa at some point. It's going to be a target to close out the game. And this is an attack where he's not taking the knockout. He's going to be a bit short on the Darmanitan.
Yeah, that Darmanitan is actually pretty beefy there. 140 here. So Ian Rob not going to get the knockout. Just 10 HP remaining on that Darmanitan. But that is going to allow for Ian Rob to get more of these energy out onto the field as well.
Yeah, this is pretty calculated from Ian. He doesn't care about a knockout here. He wants to have access to the Carnelian on a following turn so he can take a knockout on a relevant Pokemon. And meanwhile, you're at a 4 prize exchange. You've seen reversal energies. They're not even useless or useful at this point. And you just put your opponent on a low hand size. They have to have the Ends Castle at this point to move out of the active spot, and we just don't see that.
Oh, yeah, that's tough here. Maybe we'll get some nice trades in as we see that Cyrano go to the discard pile for Evan on this first trade on the End Zoroark. Where to go from here?
Considerations from Monkey Dory at this spot, the Dark Energy and the Monkey Dory. You have access to moving some of this damage around and potentially stealing a prize card over the course of a few turns.
Yeah, I mean, great slot with the Monkey Dory here. You don't even need the Luminous Energy. You play Dark Energy, you're good. Fantastic there. Right, it just looks like Evan's putting in some thought here. So where he goes in this position, going to start with another trade, just has to discard one of these cards from hands as he kind of formulates the strategy he's going with. It's going to be the Monkey Dory going down into the discard pile for Pheasantipity, so all that ends PP up as well as the Night Stretcher. No, that's 2 Night Stretchers here, Kyle.
Any Pokemon he throws away, he's feeling comfortable because he'll just find it right back with the Night Stretcher on that opportune turn. Pheasantipity, also a card that's no longer helpful at this point of the game, being that there wasn't a knockout. And
is our Bear Trap helpful?
Nope, this is a slow turn. This is Evan hoping to eventually work in a knockout on this Flareon. But if there's no damage in play, then how do you work in Monkey Dory?
Yeah, that is tough here as the Blood Moon Ursaluna EX taking up that last bench spot there for Evan with energy attached, kind of getting ready on the bench as an attacker there for Evan, but Ian Rob starting off with a Night Stretcher to get things going. Get an Energy Ori Pokemon out of the discard piles. We see that Hoot Hoot being brought back. He's still not sleeping.
He's been awake for a while. Not the insomnia Hoot Hoot, but still just as tired.
This was triple stab. I mean, that's pretty wild there.
Although this doesn't feel like a great knockout, it is going to be helpful. You remove the main attack for your Ends Zoroark at this point of the game, being that we have not seen a Reshiram, and just any energy you can pull out of the deck are valuable because you need to see the pivotal cards. You need to see the boss's orders or some help to clean up these Pokemon and close out in the next 2 turns.
Yeah, Ian's doing everything possible here, taking down that Darmanitan now, putting more pressure on Evan as he continues to churn through here. He's trading his way, trying to find an out here. What do you think he needs to do in this turn, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, he lost a really unique play, and if Ian got too aggressive and had boss's orders and left damage on board, he could go after that. Instead, now he has to focus on a card like Defiance Band, trying to work in a knockout with that Blood Moon Ursaluna, being that Ian's moved down to 3 prize cards remaining.
Oh yeah, that's some perfect math if I've ever seen it, Kyle. I feel like our map this weekend has just been lining up right.
It's like the players build their decks to do
right? So crazy, right? Yeah, that Blood Moon Ursaluna can just strap a cool headband on. 30 additional damage if Evan is behind the prize card. That could swing things around for him potentially. Night Stretcher in the discard pile as Evan draws in these cards, but he's just sort of shaking his head. Look how thin that deck is now for Evan.
Yeah, is it just the Dark Energy that he wanted to find without having to use Night Stretcher? He's down to just 4 cards remaining in the deck. It looks like it's a pretty precious resource to use.
Yeah, that is tough. Also, potentially maybe that Defiance Band.
He's not even found that yet.
No, let's see the discard pile. It actually might be in there. There's been so many stuff discarded,
so
to be honest.
many cards thrown
It's
around
tough
the
here, but I haven't seen it. The deck is pretty thin here. We're going to see the Pheasantipity come back here for Evan off of a Night Stretcher. So we take a look through his discard pile potentially here. You see it in there? Oh, it's in there. No.
That's tough.
Not the band. The band's not all back together here. Blood Moon Ursa Luna is going to be hanging out all by his lonesome, only joined by this Pheasantipity as we draw into 3 additional cards here for Evan. I mean, that's 1 card left. He's just going to scoop it up. Evan just could not find it, Kyle. Oh my gosh, what do you think about that ending?
That was, I mean, to be expected at that point. When you don't have access to the Defiance Band, you cannot take that knockout and stay in contention against the caliber of deck that you see on the other side from Ian. He set up a really great game plan with the Flareon, and it's just a threat of 280. That was enough. He never actually had to announce it.
That's very, yeah, that's pretty crazy, actually. He was just doing burning charge one after another, you know, still taking knockouts there. The pressure was on Evan the entire time from Ian Rob, and guess what? It was enough pressure to take a win here in our first game, as look at this, he's playing flawlessly here. I mean, this was just tough to watch.
Yeah, this was a point in the game at the beginning where Evan might have put himself in some trouble just not having the additional Darmaka in play. Got a little cheeky with the Badoo and instead runs into this issue where Ian can just target down the Darmanitan before it even becomes that. And we saw a little bit of play back and forth. Evan with a great call to take away both of those Hoot, slow down the resources, but you just can't keep up with the power Flareon.
Exactly. Yeah, Evan was playing around as much as he could there, but with those resources discarded earlier on, that's the one thing. Like for trade, you do have to discard those resources, and those could really come back to bite you in later games as well. So unfortunately there for Evan, maybe he's going to take a different turn here coming up in our next game between these players. Ian Rob, of course, looking to take a nice clean 2-0 potentially here, but Evan is going to be starting us off. Badoo is active already for Evan, so that's quite nice. He can start setting up nice and clean here. Wow, he's got the buddy popping, but look at all these basics already in the hand here from Evan. Maybe he goes with a thicker board of some of those attacking Pokemon, Kyle. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, he's holding on to Buddy Puff as fodder for Ultra Ball at this point.
Yeah,
It looks like you just need some cards to throw away to start trading and get out of this mess. And on the other side, Ian's just already a Flareon.
But boosted evolution here is what you are seeing. Ian Rob is able to just jump straight into Flareon EX, even though this is his first turn thanks to that fantastic ability on this Eevee. It's not the Colorful Friends Eevee, but hey, this is another way to just get these hit points onto the field and start doing a lot here on Ian Rob's side. Of course, Fan Rotom as well is going to help out quite a bit after we see that Ultra Ball discarding a Sylveon as well as a Noctowl.
Oh, just not much in Evan's hands. It's like, look, it is just the Ultra Ball in a dream at this point.
No.
Ian, he did try some of his unique ways to find some answers in certain matchups. That Briar has been a pretty cool play for him. We've seen the Lily Clefairy in some matchups, but he's not going to need a lot of these this time around. He's already got his Tera Pokemon. No Terapagos needed. He can make this happen with Jewel Seekers as early as next turn.
Right, we see one Noctowl sitting there, but we have plenty more in the deck here for Ian Rob as we see one slot out right away, as well as 2 Hoot Hoot. And this is kind of the engine of this game. Noctowl helps out a lot of decks in our format right now, so much so that some decks purposely target down those Noctowls on the bench with some of their Pokemon, because it is just so pivotal as an engine here to draw out those trainer cards when you need them in key moments. You're either using them super aggressively or defensively, but you have so many options as long as you have a Tera Pokemon out and you can Jewel Seeker around. We have another Eevee hit the bench. This is the bulkier one in that Eevee EX that can turn into evolutions as well. So pretty cool. Here we see the energy attachment from Ian Rob and that Psychic, and now we're back over to Evan.
He's found a useless item in that ends PP up at this point of the game. He's got Ultra Ball to start trading, but you're looking at 2 cards a turn and your top deck trying to find an answer. You need a decent supporter at this point to get the ball rolling. The pressure is on. Flareon as early as next turn is taking knockouts. Item walk is not going to be a thing at this point, and Evan has to have an answer, and we're just not seeing it right now.
Oh, yeah, that is unfortunate. Look how many supporters we have in the prize cards, Kyle. Sheesh.
Yeah, not all of the drawing aspects, but I mean, Jock is essentially a draw supporter in the fact that it gets you trade. Iono would be pretty nice at this spot, knowing that your opponent's sitting on a Noctowl, but he does not have that here.
I mean, that Artisan, too, could have been super helpful as well, potentially for Evan here. But yeah, we're just working with what we got here. See another Zoroak come out after that first trade.
It's the castle and the Night Stretcher.
Oof. Yeah, that's just an Itchy Pollen back over to Ian Rob. Item cards are locked, but that does not slow him down. Every time we get the first Itchy Pollen, it's just Crispin. We got energy. And as soon as Ian Rob has that, he is going. He is flying. Burning Charge, it only takes 2 energy attached to do it. And it's 130 damage as well as finding those basic energy and getting your board all set up. I mean, I can really see why Ian chose to play this deck. But look at that.
He's got the additional energy, but he has to play it awkwardly because he wants to be able to threaten a knockout on the end Zoroark. So even though the Psychic energy is there for Pokemon like Sylveon, he's going to hang on to it here, and he's got just a water away now for a potential knockout on the following turn.
Right. There we go. Burning Charge first, but do knocked out. That's the first prize card here taken in that Super Rod for Ian Rob. And we're back over to Evan. That has just been struggling so far in this matchup. I mean, this is truly showing how this matchup unfortunately goes, as Evan kind of has been taking the short end of the stick here, that is for sure. Ends Castle and Night Stretcher in the hand, as you said, Kyle, from our last turn. He's deciding which one to discard for this first trade. I mean, the hand is just tiny.
Yeah, you just can't build on a hand like this until you find the supporter, and I think he found the wrong version of Turo, the non-research one.
No. Oh, no. Well, we're seeing the trades happen as this reversal energy hits the discard pile. Night Stretcher hitting the discard pile. Essential resources here that Evan's not going to have in the later games unless he's got multiple copies here. But that Turo is going to put this Badoo back in the active position here. 10 damage onto the Noctowl, trying to stall as much as possible and slow Ian Rob down. Ian's in the same position as we saw in game 1.
Yeah, one Turo deserves another. And sure enough, he's found that right here. He's taking that 10 damage off the board, pulls his Pokemon back from the active spot, and he will have Flareon ready to roll even more, finding some additional energies, pulling them from the deck, and just leading to even more consistency for Ian down the road. And throw a prize card in there too, why not?
Right, I'm like, is it the deck? Is it Ian Rob? He's just making this look like it's almost too easy. Is it the matchup? Is it a combination of all three? Because look at this right now. Ian Rob, the Jewel Seeker first off, scooping up that Pokemon in the active, putting the Hoot Hoot back down onto the bench. We see the energy, that water energy that was needed, come down onto that Flareon EX. Another knockout back and forth here from Ian Rob, taking that Lily's Clefairy EX out of the prize cards.
I mean, this is the problem when you run up against a full Tera style of deck and you're focused on dealing damage to the bench, taking advantage of some smaller basic Pokemon and taking those knockouts. The best chance for Evan at this point is find Darmanitan Reversal, Counter Catcher, and knock out Fan Rotom and Hoot Hoot. Like, you're not taking relevant prize cards at this point, but you would stay in contention as far as the prize trade. But you're still asking for so much in a hand that has not much.
Right, it's like you're trying to catch up, but then you're not even slowing your opponent down really. And that's the difficult part about it for sure. I mean, it is very cool to see Flareon EX just sort of come in here and, you know, set fire to the table almost. He's definitely 3 feet tall now. That is for sure. He's earned that.
Standing on those prize cards it's taken.
And he's like 50 pounds too. He's swinging so hard into this deck over on Evan's side as he's just trying to stay alive in this matchup here, finding some evolution Pokemon. But Evan just putting that Darumaka into the active position now. that's all we can really do here as we continue to evolve on the bench from Evan. We're into that Darmanitan on the bench, and that's it. I mean, just kind of an unfortunate shake of the hand over to Ian Rob's side again as he just runs away with this game.
I mean, Power Glass nearly useless in a matchup like this. You can't stay in the active spot against Flareon dealing 280 over and over. Almost 2 of them set up at this point with the Eevee looming in the back with 2 energies ready to roll. If you ever take a prize card, Pheasantipity will help draw out of this mess. Ian thinking of everything that could potentially happen here as he eyes up what looks to be his 3rd prize card, but Boss could make it his 4th.
Look at this as well. I mean, just to put insult to injury here, we see the Jewel Seeker come out, set up that Area 0 under depths as well, expanding the bench here thanks to the Tera Pokemon that are out onto the field. I mean, that's, or just when you thought you were just faced up against this horrible board, it's gotten even larger, Kyle. My goodness, 8 bench spots here now for Ian Rob to play around with. Another Hoot coming out for some potential knockdown action in the later turns too, if we even can get there, because Ian is just going Sparkling Crystal for that ace spec coming down, costing that Flareon EX 1 less, and we see the boss's orders. Now we're in 2 prize knockout territory.
Nothing to do but shake your head at this point if you're Evan. This is just not a matchup that you can really work around at this point. Ian has everything. The only time that he feels comfortable taking that big knockout and leave himself slightly vulnerable is when he has the perfect answer on the bench. And he's done just that. Even as the Hoot to follow up, he could find a final knockout and make himself less vulnerable to a card like this Iono that's happening right now.
Right, yeah. Just pulling out all the stops. Putting the safety out there on Ian Rob's side, even though he's just leading so hard here. Evan trying to bail himself out here with some of the cards off this Iono, still sitting at 6 prize cards. What you seeing, Kyle?
Can't even find a reversal energy. If you want to attack with the Darmanitan and leave up a Pokemon with a single prize card.
One had to go to trade.
That's right. And maybe prize 1 as well.
Right.
So he's got 1 remaining. No, he's only got the 2 in this list.
No, that's it. Yeah, one's in the
We
prize
are
cards.
fully reliant on the Zoroak at this point, and that's a Pokemon you can't leave in the active spot.
No, yeah, I mean, it's such a vulnerability for you. But at this point, like you said, there's no reversal energy to attack with these 1 prize ends Darmanitan. Here for Evan, it's just like nothing is working out for him in this brutal matchup against the Flareon EX. And Ian has just set Evan in his sights. Those Zoroark are just dropping as Ian Rob just needs 2 prize cards left to take to 2-0 in this asymmetrical top cut match.
Well, you've seen Professor Turo. You see 6 energy on the board. Maybe there's a world where you can try to slow your opponent down with the counter catcher, buy a little more time. Noctowl looks to be the grab there, but this just does not feel like winning lines. Evan's trying his best to slow this game down, but Ian has all the answers each time.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate here. Evan just passes back over to Ian. Noctowl stuck in the active, but we see a quick retreat. It only has that 1 retreat. Evan knows exactly what that means. That means Ian Rob is going to take a 2-0 playing into our top cut here in Milwaukee with Flareon Toolbox.
A 2-0 victory. It must feel pretty great if you're Ian Rob. He did not have to sweat very much in that game. That's no fault to Evan. That is just a tough matchup to work around, and he did his best. He's going to join Owen Dalgard with a 2-0 victory up against John Ang as another player moving in from the asymmetric cut. So a few players already in the top 8 now, with our other 2 that did not have to play asymmetric.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that always feels good. Take a little break, eat a snack, get ready here.
We got snacks?
Yeah, we got snacks.
Right.
I'll show them afterward, but yeah, of course. Focusing in on the action, that was still a great matchup as we saw between these players. I mean, star-studded performance from 2 star-studded players, but Ian Rob was able to just have the edge in this matchup with Flareon EX. The pressure was too much for Evan to be able to mount, and I mean, that was tough to see. Evan tried everything here, but was just not fast enough to keep up with that Flareon.
Yeah, even if he has multiple Darumaka at this spot, does it even help? You're taking